That tragedy being that Joe the Shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back. Oh, God, so good to be back. Sorry I was away for so long. I know this was only about a week. The full-time schedule is still very, very tiring. And today was Joe the Shirt's off the cuff a little late today because while I got done with the work early today, one of the few early days I've had recently, there was still like a zillion things I have to do because it used to be, I used to work at night and then, I would have all day to take care of my errands. Now I work all day, I usually work between 7 and 3. And then in the afternoons I take care of stuff. And then by the time I take care of stuff, getting to do this is a little tiring. So, please excuse, my lack of presence here every once in a while. Well, but thank you for listening in. As always, very happy to be here with you guys. A lot going on out there. There really, really is. And actually, really quick, big story here in Los Angeles. If you live here in Los Angeles, you may have noticed that the traffic kind of sucks. Now, I know everybody in Los Angeles already knows, well, traffic always sucks. Well, it sucks a little bit more today because apparently a water main bursted in Westwood on Sunset Boulevard. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Sunset Boulevard is one of the main streets in Los Angeles. I mean, it goes all the fuck the way to the ocean and all the fuck the way to downtown. So it is one of the big main streets, okay? And this this water pipe just blew completely. Apparently, it was 102 years old. I'm sure there's going to be an investigation as to what caused it to break. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with the fact that it's 102 years old. But yeah, man, it is all fucked up over there. It stopped traffic on Sunset Boulevard in both directions, which is pretty fucked up considering that this happened right around, I believe it was 3 o'clock, pretty much the beginning of rush hour here in Los Angeles. So we're talking about, thousands upon thousands of people who just cannot get from point A to B because Sunset Boulevard is locked down. And even if you can go around Sunset Boulevard, take alternate routes, well, you know what? Everybody's taking alternate routes, which means that it's just going to be one big traffic snarl out there. So if you're out there and you need to get home and you usually take Sunset Boulevard, you know what? Take your time. Put in a few extra hours at work. Maybe hang out with some friends at a local bar. Enjoy happy hour. You don't want to go out there just yet. Yeah, but I'm talking like the flood is like of biblical proportions because it is just soaking the entire UCLA campus, which is funny as shit. It's funny because you watch the video on the tube there, and you got people wading through the water. Some people were swimming in some of the deeper pockets. Now, a quick shout out for a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention her name because it's a private thing, but her daughter, I believe, is over at UCLA, and she parked her car in a subterranean parking lot. That's full of water now. Okay, there's a very good chance her car is going to be totaled. Because you literally could not get to the car. So much luck to her, much love. Sorry to hear. And it was a pretty new car too, from what I understand. So that really does suck. Anyway, what is going on here? Oh my God. Okay, today's topic: the freedom of religious discrimination. Now, this is a big deal going on here, and it's a big deal thanks to Obamacare, because it's opening up this gigantic can of worms. First, obviously Obamacare is being opposed by the Republicans, and mind you, I don't know whether or not, honestly, they really think that Barack Obama actually committed any real crimes, that whether or not they really believe he overstepped his powers, or they just feel the need to oppose a Democratic president, a president that's a Democrat. I think some of it just feels so, so partisan, so that basically, no matter what the president does, if he's not in your party, he's an asshole. All right, that's all there is to it. Okay, if you were living in the 80s in the United States and you were a Democrat, Ronald Reagan was an asshole. All right, if you were a Republican back in the 70s, Jimmy Carter was an asshole. That's pretty. As long as you're Republican, Barack Obama is an asshole. That's all there is to it. Okay. So, we have the Obamacare, and we're going to skip over the ideas of whether or not he overstepped his powers, whether or not he, it's illegal for him to allow for there to be federal and state exchanges and federal subsidies for state exchanges. We're gonna skip over that because I find that actually right now a little boring compared to the aftermath of what's going on here. And a big deal of that is, you remember me talking about Hobby Lobby, which was a privately owned company. They make crafts, supplies, I guess, and they were opposed to the idea of supplying certain types of birth control to their female employees based on their religious beliefs. According to them, they said that certain types of birth control, that there was 4 of them. There's like 20 types of birth control that they're okay with, but there's 4 of them that they were opposed to because it seemed too close to being an abortion. None of them are. Okay, not one that I know of is one. Okay, but that's how they decided to interpret it, and then thus that goes against their religious beliefs. So they asked that they not be forced to provide these certain types of birth controls to their female employees. All the other 16, they're fine with, and they'll still supply Viagra to men. Okay, but they don't want to supply these particular 4. And then the Supreme Court went off and said, well, you know what? A Hobby Lobby is a corporation. A corporation has the same rights as a person, and a person has a right to their religious beliefs. And if any type of action, contradicts those religious beliefs, well, then they have a right to defend them and for it to be upheld by their government. Okay, excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of my Tecate beer. Tecate Light. Okay, so now according to the Supreme Court, well, let me take a quick look at this. See, okay, let's see. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, in his majority opinion, the Hobby Lobby case, says that the decision is a narrow one. Alito maintains that his June 30th decision concerned only the contraceptive mandate of the Affordable Care Act and, practically speaking, exempted only closely held family companies from its enforcement. Okay. So according to him, he's saying that, we only made this decision based on this very specific case and these very specific situations. Not like we're giving carte blanche for religious groups to, go around trying to sue us or enact discriminatory practices in their businesses. Well, that didn't work out quite the way he wanted it to. According to the Los Angeles Times, some religious groups to President Obama's executive order on Monday barring discrimination by federal contractors against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people are objecting to it. Now, the president recently signed a law where it made it illegal for federal contracts to be handed out to private businesses if those businesses engaged in discriminatory behavior against gays, lesbians, transgenders, bisexuals, and the like. And this is something that was an extension, basically, of other laws, barring these contractors with the federal government from from being able to discriminate against somebody for, say, being black or being Jewish. So they were extending these rights to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender. But on July 1st, the day after the Hobby Lobby ruling, which was supposed to be a very, very narrow interpretation of this particular case, 14 self-described religious and civic leaders wrote Obama seeking a religious exemption from the coming anti-discrimination rule. Okay? Including people such as Rick Warren, senior pastor of Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, and Father Larry Snyder, chief executive of the Catholic Charities USA. These guys, these 14 and these two in particular here that I'm mentioning here, they want an exemption from the anti-discrimination laws. They want, they're arguing that they should be allowed to ban lesbians, gays, transgenders, and bisexuals from their places of business based on their religious beliefs and their religious freedom. Okay, that's the day after. Okay? So don't give me this bullshit about it's a very narrow, very specific. Bullshit. You just wedged open the fucking Pandora's box right there is what you guys did. You just said, okay, you know what? Now any asshole that has any issue with anybody else can claim religious freedom as a way to discriminate against other human beings that have had that have caused no harm to them whatsoever just based on their religious beliefs. And I'm telling you, if you can discriminate against somebody based on your religious beliefs because they're lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, then you know what? You can make the argument that you can discriminate against somebody from working in your business based on the fact that they're black, Chinese, Native American, Islamic, Jewish, Catholic, Protestant, Jehovah's Witnesses, Puerto Ricans. They were born in Syria. You know, not Syrian. They just happened to be there. You know, their parents were actually from China. But they were visiting Syria, and then the child was born in Syria for some reason. A Chinese woman was 9 months pregnant and decided to give birth in Syria. But then they moved to the United States, and now because that kid was born in Syria, he's not allowed to work at Hobby Lobby. I know it took me a while to get there. And it is disgusting that they're actually trying to go for this. Essentially, according to, again, Los Angeles Times, essentially they want to be allowed to continue to accept money from the federal government to fund their good works without being disqualified or disadvantaged in obtaining contracts because of their religious beliefs. They are saying, okay, we want to take federal money still because, we're good people and we're using this money for good works, building shit for the homeless and feeding the homeless and saving puppies and, making sure that every kid has his own lighter when he smokes a crack pipe. I don't know. Whatever it is they're doing, they think that it should be okay for them to say, well, you said that, due to religious beliefs, I don't have to supply my employees with certain types of birth control. Well, now religious beliefs tell me that, certain people, are offensive to me, and so I don't want them around me or my business or my customers. And mind you, I still accept money from lesbians, gays, transgenders, and bisexuals. I just won't let them work for me. It's basically what they're saying. We're going to continue with this one when I get back, okay? Because this one's got me incensed. Okay, it's got me pissed off. All right. Anyway, our first music today was from the band known as Sunspot and their song Neanderthal. Our next song is from The Juice to Make It Happen and their song Addict. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Share the shirt is still off the cuff. Yeah! Welcome back, everybody. Oh my God. Actually, I was kind of digging that. I was getting my jazzy vibe going. I was like, I was like bopping my head back and forth. We're going to continue with our topic for today, the freedom of religious discrimination. But before we do, we're going to do celebrity birthdays. That's right. I didn't forget celebrity birthdays. And don't forget to stay tuned in for the wisdom of rappers, one of my newer segments, which I've really enjoy doing. So please stay tuned for that. If you were born July 29th, you share a birthday with Will Wheaton, who's 41 years old. In case you forgot who Will Wheaton is, he played Wesley on Star Trek The Next Generation. Remember the kid that was on that show? That kid's 41 years old now. He's only 2 years younger than I am. Okay, and Steven Dorff is 40. You may have seen him in a bunch of movies, but for me, he'll always be the main bad guy in the first Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. I think the name was Bishop. That was the character's name, the leader of the rebel vampires, So Steven Dorff and Will Wheaton. That's it. That's all I got. I went through the July 29th birthdays, and I'm thinking, who the fuck are all these people? But there you go. Anyway, back to freedom of religious discrimination, which is a real thing, I got to tell you. It's something that happens all the time, especially in this country. I find it disgusting that that in this day and age that there are still people, religious people, God-fearing, God-loving people that believe in a loving, forgiving God, that believe that it's okay to discriminate against others because of their religious beliefs. Now, you have to understand, as an atheist, I actually agree with this in principle. Not legally, not actually, but in principle. One thing I've always said is, if you are a truly devout religious person, the religion of every other person on the planet that isn't your religion is a direct insult and offense to your religion. Just like your religion is an insult and offense to every other religion out there. Okay, because when do you know what it means to be Catholic and Jewish and a Muslim? It means that if you're Muslim, you're saying that the Catholics are liars and the Jews are liars, or the Catholics and the Jews are calling you a liar. Okay, they're saying that you're unholy, that you really don't know shit about God. That's what they're doing. People, a lot of people, most people, especially in the United States, have taken on a more of a softer view of religion. They don't believe it's the hard and fast rule that it used to be. Or even if it is, you know what? This is where I think this is how religion should work, okay? If you have the right religion and you believe that completely, wholeheartedly in your heart, and when you die, you're going to go to heaven, or you're going to go to heaven and have 72 virgins, or you're going to go to heaven and, you're going to be with all your family and friends, whatever your definition of heaven is. Okay, what do you care what everybody else is doing? They're all going to hell anyway, right? Why would I give a fuck? You want to pray to a chair? Go ahead, knock yourself out. You're going to hell. Probably burn you with that chair, motherfucker. That's my opinion, okay? But when it comes to the actual real world that we live in, where you live in any country, which is pretty much every country that has more than one religion, there is going to be some issues, and you have to agree to disagree, basically. but that agreement to disagree does not include telling other people that they are not worthy of the same rights and privileges as everybody else, just because they happen to be of a different faith or a different color, or maybe it was, their parents were in a different country. Wrong. I still hold by my belief that as long as what you do doesn't hurt anybody directly, then go ahead and do what you do, man. Shit, man. Like I said, if you want to worship a chair, go ahead, knock yourself out. You want to blow a donkey, blow a donkey. I don't care. Hell, I'll watch. But that's where I'm going here. You live and let live. Anyway, and I end this particular portion of the show here with a quote from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There's a quote now. "The Negro's greatest stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice." See, what that tells me is it's a fancier form of saying that for evil to win, good men just need to do nothing. Okay, when you see something wrong going on and you do nothing to stop it, to interrupt it, to put it in its place, then you contribute to the evil in your world. Now, mind you, I'm not going out there telling you all out there to become, religious nuts or freedom fighters or anything like that. I'm as lazy as the next American. Believe you me, more often than not, I don't do shit about shit, and I freely admit that. But I still like to talk about it. I still like to point it out, and that's my contribution, I guess. I point out that these things happen. Okay, we are talking about religion still. Okay, and here's one for you. Have you heard of Miriam Ibrahim? Miriam Ibrahim is a woman who from South Africa, who is from the Sudan, and she apparently was sentenced to death. Why? She faced the death sentence for refusing to renounce her Christian faith. Okay? Miriam Ibrahim was sentenced to death by a court in Khartoum, Sudan in May for illegally abandoning the Muslim faith. She was given a chance to renounce Christianity but to save herself, but refused. Now, this is apostasy. And basically what the Sudan is saying is that it is against the law for you to abandon your Muslim faith. Okay, it is absolutely against the law. You cannot just wake up one day and go, you know what? I don't think I like being a Muslim anymore. I'm going to be a Buddhist. No. No, you can't. It's against the law. All right? Now, if you happen to be living in a mostly Muslim country and were born Christian, then that's fine. Well, it's not fine. We still want to kill you, but we're not going to, because you're not renouncing Muslim, being a Muslim. You're just born a dirty Christian, is what they're saying. Now, at the time that she was sentenced, she had also recently given birth to a daughter, and was told that she would be allowed to nurse her daughter for 2 years and then be executed. Well, that's just sweet of them, isn't it? What I really love about this is that it was actually a family member of hers that reported her to the authorities, for the charge of apostasy. And these people, that's somebody that really, 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 really believes in their religion or really, really hates you. That's who that is. I mean, you think about your friends, your family. Do you think any of them would contact the authorities to let them know that you committed a crime that is punishable by death and torture. Okay? You're either ultra-religious or you really hate that fucking bitch. Now, it's also not good enough that they were planning on killing her. She was also sentenced to 100 lashes for adultery because her marriage was not recognized as legal. So, okay, so we're going to arrest you. We're gonna give you 100 lashes, 100 whippings. You will pray for death by about 12. Now, under Sudanese law, it is a crime to renounce Islam, and Muslim women are barred from marriage to non-Muslims. So they were assuming that she was a Muslim and then married this Christian man. So that's 100 lashes right there, and your marriage is null and void. But now you're renouncing being a Muslim. Well, we're just going to have to kill your ass. Ibrahim insisted that she was never a Muslim and was raised by a Christian family, an Ethiopian Christian. The Pope went to go meet with her. Yeah. But let me think about that. I mean, we're talking about religious freedom here in the United States, and and how bad it can get. I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as this. It's not federal law that if you're not a Christian, you're gonna get killed. But when you let these little slippery slopes, these little cracks in the armor come through, you're gonna find that there will be people who are able to manipulate words and the law and people to such an extent, to such a deep extent, that they will make what is considered absolutely illegal reasonably sort of legal. And that's what you got to watch out for. You know me. I go back and forth on this a lot because I also believe that the Chick-fil-A example is still my best one. I think where Chick-fil-A, they contributed, they donated money to groups that were known as being anti-gay, anti-lesbian, anti-bisexual, anti-transgender, but they never discriminated in their hiring practices. They never discriminated in who could go to their business and buy their product. They just had a religious belief, and they supported these particular groups who shared their religious beliefs. I think that's okay. I'm telling you right. I'm saying that right. I think it's okay. You have your belief, and they were not directly hurting anybody. Indirectly, could these movements hurt gay, lesbians, transgenders, and bisexuals? Yeah, I guess so. But they weren't doing it directly. They were working within the legal framework of the law. So that I still think is okay. But to actually directly say to you, we're not going to hire you because you're a dyke. We're not going to hire you because you're a nigger. We're not going to hire you because you're a kike. We're not going to hire you because you're a spick. We're not going to hire you because you're a fag. That's wrong. Okay? We're not going to do business with you because of these reasons. We're not going to allow you to come into our stores. That's wrong. We're going to make, legal moves to, try to make life harder on you, but it's legal. And it's time to take yet another break. Good God. This next one is from Urban D. Speclos, their song, The Principle. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
Night Owls 3, Syntax, Flavor Alliance. The world's about exploitation, sexploitation. The media got us overloaded, we can't keep our concentration. Much less our morals, paint pornographic murals. This joint is like Sodom and Gomorrah. Nobody reads the Torah. Let's read Dora, the Explorer. Maybe she'll cure you from your ills. This whole planet gives me the chills, even though it's global warming. The Gulf of Mexico in my backyard storming. In the meantime, cats are swarming to get a piece of what we do. Authentic and true, a hip-hop focused ministry. Wow, that's new. Hey, let's send the camera crew.
We'd like to sign you for a reality TV show.
For real, we had the offers, we had to say no. I'm not convincible. It ain't about the flow, it's the principle. I'ma have to let you go. It's the principle. They try to talk me into it, I'm not convincible.
But everybody's doing it.
usual. I can't fit your nonsense.
Show the shirt.
They try to talk me into it. I'm not
Still off the cuff, baby.
Doing it.
We're talking about discrimination. We're talking about discrimination, religion, sex, racism. Here's one for you. Okay, you are a married individual, male, female, it doesn't matter. You have 2.5 children. Okay. You have a dog, a cat, 2 cars, and you are expecting another 0.5 child. You need a bigger place. You need a new home. You need a bigger house to accommodate that 0.5 child, to make it a full 3 children, not just a 2.5, so that you, your significant other, and your 3 whole children, your dog, your cat, your 2 cars, can live comfortably within your means in a place that you like. All right. Now, realty websites, websites that provide information on neighborhoods, are coming under fire because the typical realty website will give you the typical information. Okay, you are you're a man and a woman, you're a man and a man, a woman and a woman. I don't care. But you know what? You have your 2.5 children with a 0.5 on the way, so you have 3 kids. You want to move someplace that has good schools, either public or private. You want to know both to see which one you want to go with. And you and your significant other make X amount of money a year. You want to find some place where the property taxes are in your favor, where the overall taxes are in your favor. So you're looking at that. Okay. You are looking for some place that has access to freeways, access to public transportation, and and the realty websites provide this information to you, and that's great. Now, what if you wanted to find a neighborhood that was mostly white? You're a white guy, married a white woman, got your 2.5 white kids with a 0.5 on the way, your white dog, your white cat, your 2 white cars. You want to move to a neighborhood that's mostly white, if not all white, because all your friends are white, all your co-workers are white, you go to a church, everybody there is white, and you get along with other white people more than anybody else, which would be true of pretty much any race. I'm sorry, but most black people will get along better with other black people. Most Chinese people will get along better with other Chinese people. If you don't believe this, go into any fucking high school lunchroom and see where everybody sits. Okay? I remember my high school, all the way on the right side, we had the Latinos, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans. Bang, that's where they were. Down in the middle, we had the blacks. The blacks, the Jamaicans, the one African kid, and then all the way to the left side of the cafeteria, we had the Asians. Your Vietnamese, your Koreans, no Japanese, a couple of Chinese, and some guy from Laos. All right. But they were, you know what? Most of these kids did not know each other when they got to these schools. But when they got to school, but they hurted themselves, It's like, oh, well, this guy reminds me of me in some way. We have something in common. I'm going to I'm going to hang out with that guy because that guy, we probably know something, at the same time. Yeah, okay. And that's a natural human trait. But it is being brought up that this is possibly, racist. And it is. But is it really wrong? Okay? Now let's think about this. My girlfriend, the Russian, her and her family came from Russia back when she was, good God, she was young. I don't know, she was like 12, 14 years old. I'm not quite sure. But she was young, And it made sense that when they got here, her mom and dad looked for a neighborhood that was Russian and Jewish. Why? Because they are Russian and they're Jewish. So that made sense to them. Okay? So when you're a Russian Jew fresh off the boat, and they, I think, literally were off a boat, they wanted to find a place that they understood, a place where they could see signs written in stores in their language, people that they looked like them and spoke their language and that they could communicate with and understand each other. Now, I know it's a bit of an extreme example because we're talking about, immigrants literally off the boat. But it still applies to modern day dynamics because, when I growing up, I'm Puerto Rican. Most of my friends, believe it or not, were actually other Puerto Ricans or other types of Latinos, that just happened to work out that way, That's the way it was. My best friend growing up, he was a Puerto Rican. My buddy Tony, he's a Rican. My second best friend, my buddy Arnold, Dominican. Who knew, right? So it's not a shock, even though there were white kids and black kids and Asian kids, and I was friends with a lot of black kids and Asian kids, and the one white kid that was in our school, I was friends with him. His name was Robert. Nice guy. Listened to a lot of Iron Maiden. Anyway, but most of my friends were still, they looked like me. They spoke my language. They spoke Spanish. So it kind of made sense to me. So is it really wrong? Now, certain groups are saying that, it's wrong, it's racist, it's biased, and people should decide to move to a neighborhood based on things that have nothing to do with race or religion. And by the way, these websites letting you know not just whether or not there's any blacks or whites or Chinese, but they're also letting people know if there are any gays, lesbians, transgenders, bisexuals in these neighborhoods, whether or not how much of the neighborhood is Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Shintoist. They're letting people, they have a lot of data, and in some cases they're even providing the average, the median income levels for a lot of these places, so that you don't want to be the rich guy living in the poor neighborhood, or you don't want to be the poor guy that all of a sudden is living in a neighborhood that he can't afford. But it does give you a lot of information, and the argument that these realty sites are making is that, well, this is all public knowledge. And you're thinking to yourself, how is that public knowledge? How do people know this kind of shit? Well, it's very simple, actually. Thank the census. The Census Bureau goes around the country and collects information. How many people live in your home? Would you describe yourself as Latino, white, black, Asian, Pan American? Well, or you could describe yourself as Catholic, Jewish. They ask these questions, people give answers, and then it becomes public knowledge. They report these things, usually on a large mass scale. But if you go county by county, city by city, you can find much more specific information to particular neighborhoods and find out who's living there. I mean, really find out who's living there. And maybe your goal isn't to stay away from certain types of people, but rather to be with people that you feel you can relate to better. I know they like to call the United States the melting pot. I don't think it's melted quite yet. I think it's maybe bubbling, maybe lukewarm, but it's definitely not a melting pot. Okay, so. And the question is this right? Is this right or is this wrong? I don't have a problem with it. You make a decision based on what you know. I mean, you can just go into a neighborhood and look around and just go, hey, there's a lot of spics around here. I don't want to live here. I like my hubcaps. Anyway, here's a story I promised my girlfriend I'd do. Now, if you live in Rolling Hills Estates, you may have noticed that there's a lot less peacocks in your neighborhood. Apparently, about a century ago, peacocks were introduced into the Rolling Hills Estates area, and they've been there now for 100 years, and they live there, and they're just wild. They're, like I said, I know I mentioned this story before, but they're like squirrels or rats or whatever. They're just around, and apparently somebody went off and killed 50 peacocks. Now, why would you kill a peacock? Well, first of all, they're fucking noisy as shit. Secondly, they're stupid as shit. They like to, if they see a reflection of themselves, they attack it. Like, say, the reflection in your nice, shiny Mercedes. And also, they tend to be aggressive when they think that they can get the better of you. A peacock will attack you. Mind you, it's not like it's going to kill you or anything, but, you might get a couple of good pecks. Well, the reason I'm bringing this story up again is there's been a break in the case. Apparently, there's been a break in the deaths of dozens of peacocks in the Palos Verdes Peninsula after a witness reported a man in a Mercedes-Benz shooting one of the birds with a pellet gun. Officials released a sketch of the shooter seen driving a silver Mercedes sedan. He stopped at about 8:20 p.m. July 9th in the 2700 block of Eastvale Road and fired from the driver's seat, killing a peacock that was standing in a driveway. More than 50 of the exotic birds have been killed or injured in the last 2 years. And there's a sketch of him, and let's just say it looks like a white guy. Yeah, let's go with that. All right. And finally, and let's see if I can get this in. Time for the wisdom of rappers, or rappers' wisdom, however way you want to look at it. Today's wisdom comes from Nelly and his song, Hot in Here. Stop placing, time wasting. I got a friend with a pole in the basement. What? I'm just kidding like Jason. Oh. Unless you're going to do it. Extra, extra, spread the news. Nelly took a trip from the lunar to Neptune. Come back with something thicker than fitting in Sassoons. Say she'd like to think about eating in restrooms. Excuse me, cutting in restrooms. Excuse me. All right. And this one, I do believe that Nelly is trying to let us know that he's expanding his life. He's letting you know that he's willing to go for whatever it is he wants in life. Okay? Stop placing time wasting. Okay, don't waste my time. I want what I want. I got a friend with a pole in the basement. That means I want you to dance on that pole, bitch. I want you to spin for daddy. That's right. And he's letting this song let you know that he's just blowing up. He's getting so big, you better catch up, okay? Nelly took a trip from the lunar to Neptune, all right? Now, as for the whole, says she likes to think about cutting in restrooms, I'm not sure what that means. I just don't think I'm ghetto enough for that one. I'm sorry, Hey, I don't have all the answers, all right? In any case, and finally, I do leave you with one last story here. From Johns Hopkins University. Apparently, one Dr. Nikita Levy, gynecologist at the hospital for, last 25 years, is under arrest because apparently he was taking pictures and video of his patients for the last 25 years. Apparently, he was using what looked like a writing pen. In fact, officials said Levy had several such cameras in his office and on his person when hospital security paid him a visit. Officials said they discovered Levy had used the device to take photos and videos during exams, turning thousands of patients over the 25 years into thousands of potential victims. A class action lawsuit against the hospital followed. On Monday, attorneys for Johns Hopkins and for more than 9,000 of Levy's patients announced they had agreed on a proposal for a $190 million settlement to be paid to the victims of the hospital system's insurers. It is believed that Levy acted alone, and that there's no evidence that he shared any of the more than 1,200 video clips on 10 hard drives. Attorneys for Levy's patients said it would have been impossible to tell exactly who had been victimized, since most of the images were of genitals. No reason for why he did it has been brought up.